Hey everyone, we have another major storm system on the way, and this one is shaping up to be, as we head into the weekend, the United States is going to see some significant impacts, including heavy snowfall across parts of the Midwest and another round of severe weather stretching from the southern plains all the way into the southeast and even parts of the Ohio Valley. There's a lot to break down, so in today's forecast, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about this developing system and what you can expect in the coming days. Now, before we jump into what's ahead, let's take a quick look at what's happening across the country right now compared to the past 24 to 48 hours. Things have calmed down quite a bit, which is a much needed break considering what we just went through. A powerful storm system just swept across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, leaving behind a trail of severe weather, including multiple tornadoes that touched down from Illinois all the way into western Ohio. Fortunately, that system has moved on, and for at least the next couple of days, the severe weather threat in those areas will be minimal. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. But the impacts of that last storm weren't just limited to severe weather. In addition to tornadoes and damaging winds, it also brought a full-blown blizzard across parts of the central United States. Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Wisconsin were hit especially hard, with heavy snowfall and dangerously high winds making travel nearly impossible. Hundreds of vehicles were stranded overnight on highways as whiteout conditions took over, leaving drivers stuck in deep snow with no way to move forward. If you're in one of those areas, let me know in the comments how much snow you ended up getting, because some spots saw an absolutely incredible amount of accumulation overnight. Even this morning, some lingering snowfall is pushing through Illinois, and that's going to continue moving east into Indiana and Ohio throughout the day. It's crazy to think that just a day ago, these same areas were dealing with tornadoes and severe thunderstorms, and now they're seeing snowfall in some places. It really does feel like we're experiencing all four seasons in the span of 24 hours. Meanwhile, over on the West Coast, things are fairly quiet at the moment, though there's a good deal of cloud cover in place, but that calm weather isn't going to last very long because another system is on the way. As we move into Friday and Saturday, expect a round of rain and mountain snow to spread across much of the region from Washington all the way down into California. Back in the central and eastern U.S., today's weather will be a mix of snow and rain in the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and parts of the Northeast. Some scattered showers and thunderstorms will also develop from Florida up through North Carolina, and to Virginia, but the overall risk of severe weather is very low today, close to zero for most areas. If you're in Ohio or the Appalachian Mountains, especially in northern Georgia, you might get a rare chance to see some snowflakes later tonight. This could very well be the last snowfall you'll see until next winter, so if you want to catch a glimpse, keep an eye on the sky. Moving into the overnight hours, some heavier snow will push into northern New England, but it's going to be quick moving, so we're not expecting anything in the way of major accumulation. By Friday afternoon, that system will be well on its way out. Right on its heels, another small disturbance will be making its way across Canada, bringing a little bit of rain and snow to parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast heading into Saturday. The big story, though, is what's coming later in the weekend. We're tracking another significant storm system that's going to impact the U.S., but this one is shaping up to be different from the last two storms that we've dealt with over the past week, just last weekend. We saw that massive tornado outbreak on Friday and Saturday, followed by another intense storm that slammed the Midwest yesterday. Now we're gearing up for yet another system, and I want to break down exactly what we can expect. Now, the jet stream has a pretty deep dip over the eastern part of the country, associated with a large low pressure system that's still bringing some rain and snow. But this system is weakening as it continues moving east, which is why we're not seeing any major severe weather threats or heavy snowfall with it today. As we head into Friday night and Saturday, another small system will move across Canada, bringing some light snow and rain to Michigan and the Northeast. But the real focus is going to be on what develops late Saturday into Sunday. This next storm system is positioned much farther north in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that's a key factor in how this will all play out. For those of you in the upper Midwest, get ready for more snowfall on Sunday, but the severe weather threat is going to be different from what we've seen recently. The strongest upper level winds are positioned farther north this time, which means the severe weather risk is going to be concentrated more in Texas, Alabama, and Tennessee. Unlike last week's tornado outbreak, this setup looks to be more of a hail and wind event, though we can't completely rule out a few tornadoes. Okay, as we move into Monday morning, This system is going to move rapidly eastward heading into New England. This is going to be a fast-moving storm, lasting maybe 1 or 2 days before it clears out. Once that happens, the overall pattern across the U.S. is going to shift. A massive ridge is expected to build along the West Coast, and this is important because it's going to act as a barrier preventing big storm systems from entering the country for a while. That means we could be looking at a period of about 5 to 7 days with no major severe weather events, which would be a much needed. Of course, things could always change, but right now, it looks like the last part of March might actually be quieter than what we've seen so far. That's definitely good news, especially as we head into April when severe weather season really starts ramping up. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Now, let's talk a little more about the severe weather risk over the next few days. On Saturday, we do have a low-end risk for severe thunderstorms, mainly across Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. It's not a huge threat, but we could see some isolated storms producing hail and strong winds. By Sunday, the risk area expands quite a bit, stretching from Kentucky all the way down into Texas. This isn't a repeat of last Saturday's outbreak, but damaging winds, large hail, and possibly a few tornadoes will be possible across this region. Looking at precipitation for this period, we actually see an increase in activity, particularly in the west north central U.S. and especially in the Ohio Valley, mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. So while we started with a quieter period, it looks like storm activity will ramp back up toward the end of March and into early April. Now let's step back and look at the past 20 days, which includes the last day of February and everything we've seen so far. March 1st actually marks the beginning of meteorological spring. So this gives us a good snapshot of how the season has played out so far. What we've been in is essentially the exact opposite pattern of what's coming up. We've had a negative P&A, meaning the west has been cooler, which in turn has forced warm air into the central and eastern U.S. But now we're flipping that script. Instead of widespread above average temperatures, we're heading toward a stretch of below normal temperatures for many areas. In most places, that's going to be a 5 to 10 degree drop on most days, a pretty significant switch up. Now let's check in on what's happening right now. As we head into this evening, we're dealing with some pretty intense severe storms across the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley. Illinois and Indiana have been seeing tornado warnings pop up, along with severe thunderstorm warnings to the north of that. Meanwhile, our low pressure system is sitting over northern Illinois, bringing snowfall to Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the upper peninsula of Michigan. That thunderstorm corridor is exactly where we expected it to be, right in the enhanced risk area, which, just as a reminder, is a level 3 out of 5 severe weather risk. Pretty elevated. Now, looking ahead to tomorrow afternoon, a lot of that thunderstorm activity is going to spread east into the mid-Atlantic and southeast. But at this point, the severe threat looks pretty marginal. The Storm Prediction Center doesn't even have an official severe outlook for this day. Just a general thunderstorm risk. That said, we should still keep an eye on it because even in general thunderstorm risk areas, we can sometimes see some isolated severe storms develop. Now, fast forwarding a bit, let's talk about Friday and into the weekend. The Northwest is going to continue to see storminess with snowfall and rainfall moving in. By Saturday, that snow spreads into the northern Rockies while the mid-Atlantic and Northeast are still dealing with showers, both rain and snow, depending on elevation. Then as we get into Sunday, March 23rd, we see a stronger low pressure system forming in the upper Midwest. This one could bring some snow to the far north, but I think the bigger concern here will be thunderstorms. Areas like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana could be looking at some severe weather potential. By Monday, the system moves east, bringing another round of storms to the deep south, southeast, and mid-Atlantic. And as we've been seeing, this positive P&A pattern continues to drive a ridge in the west and cooler air into the east. Now, looking even further ahead, by late March into early April, we could be looking at a pretty major pattern reset. Some of the long-range models are showing a significant storm developing around March 30th, with the potential for a severe weather outbreak in parts of the southern plains and Midwest. If this setup holds, we could see supercells, strong winds, and possibly even tornadoes in areas like Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. But as always with long-range forecasts, we'll need to monitor this closely because things can shift. Before we wrap up, Let's check the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. For today, we've got that enhanced risk across parts of Illinois and Indiana, with a broader slight risk stretching across the Midwest and Ohio Valley. Tomorrow and the next few days look quieter, but by Sunday, March 23rd, that 15 severe weather risk over Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi is definitely something to watch. That's going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.